This week has been a colossal one for SpaceX company and Elon Musk. This is the third time SpaceX has installed Booster 4 onto the orbital launch base. This time, however, it was all in the planning for Elon's Starship presentation on Thursday, February 10th, where Elon Musk put on a show in Texas, highlighting some of the aspiring goals for the Starship. But there is one big question that we are really curious about, and we need an answer to that. When is this massive rocket going to take its first flight into orbit? Elon Musk has been talking about making humans a multiplanetary species for a few years. Now, the SpaceX founder took to the stage in Texas to tell the whole world about how he plans on doing it with the help of a Starship. He also talked about his company's ambitious product and launch cycle for the rocket that will be able to take humans to the moon, Mars, and even beyond that. The last time the CEO of SpaceX gave the presentation, he publicized his company's plan for Mars back in September 2016 with a massive, fully reusable Mars rocket known at the time as the Interplanetary Transport System. At this point, the carrier was to be 12 meters in diameter, 122 meters in height, and made almost fully out of carbon fiber composites. Now, over 5 years later and years of building and testing of a few dozen prototypes, we are now at the moment where the CEO stood in front of a fully stacked Starship for the year 2022 presentation. Updates of the Raptor 2. Definitely, the key update regarding the Raptor 2 with SpaceX offers us the comparison of the Raptor 2 SN5 next to the Raptor 1.5 RC86. You can also check out the Raptor 2 testing video that is now unveiled on the official website of SpaceX. At this point, Raptor 2 is able to produce 230 tons of thrust. However, they are ultimately targeting 250 tons of thrust. Furthermore, SpaceX is completing around one Raptor 2 each day. Here, it is important to note that each Raptor 2 is costing the company 50% price of the original Raptor 1. Then, of course, what most of us were waiting for is an updated Starship orbital flight animation. Firstly, the camera panned up to offer a view of what the future of the launch site will look like, confirming 2 orbital launch towers. There it was, a fully sacked Starship on the pad already undergoing fueling, with clouds of vapors coming off the rocket. The camera then transitioned down under the skirt, revealing the 33 Raptor engines. And then the liftoff rises up into the sky. Once out of the Earth's atmosphere, the ship detached from the booster with its own Raptors that were firing up, while the booster spun around and started the boost back burn. And then came the aspiring part, which is the booster landing. 3 Raptors fired up for the landing burn to show the vehicle down until zeroing out its speed while touching down on the arms. A tanker ship was then seen being mated to the crewed ship, confirming what is the current plan, a front-facing orbital refilling through the main quick disconnect panel. The ship's destination was, of course, Mars. Well, it landed on the red planet and opened up to a well-established city. Update about the FAA and orbital schedule. The company is expecting approval from the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration, before taking the Starship rocket to the next stage, which is going to orbit. It is hoped that Federal Aviation Administration will complete a key environmental assessment by the end of February 2022. This can result in either clearing SpaceX to launch in the Starship to orbit or delay the process of in-depth assessment. CEO Elon Musk previously said that he is not sure whether the Starship will successfully reach its destination, that is the orbit at the first try. However, he is very optimistic about getting the rocket in space this year. According to Elon, he is very confident that they will receive approval from the Federal Aviation Administration in the month of March 2022, and Starship should be prepared to take them as well. This can put the launch in the coming few months, he further said. However, if the Federal Aviation Administration needs more data about the potential environmental impacts or litigation to arise, the CEO said that the rocket launches could transfer to NASA's Kennedy Space Center, which is in Florida. If it happens, it might delay the initial launch to the orbit up to 6 to 8 more months, he further stated. A few months ago, Musk highlighted an increase to 9 engines on the ship, and it is also being stretched. During the presentation, Musk revealed that it is still not sure, so we will still have to wait on more info there. SpaceX is aiming for under $10 million for each launch, including the fixed cost for 100 tons to orbit. The first refilling attempt has now targeted the end of 2023. The ocean launch and landing platform are actively being worked on, and photos will receive a catch tower this year. You might also want to note that Starbase will mostly be used to test the latest designs in the future once the Florida facility is up and running. The main issue with Raptor 2 is the chamber melting, and to compensate for this, they need to flow a lot of cryofuel to cool it down. It appears like this work is still in progress. Now, Booster 4 is free from the transport stand. Booster 7 is now able to stack fully. Once the transport stand is moved from the launch site to the high bay, this booster aft section can be mated to the liquid oxygen tank, and then the methane tank can be stacked on top. This will complete the main body, leading the more intricate components to be continued and added. SpaceX is targeting almost 50 launches in 2022, or an average of 1 launch a week. That's twice the number that is proposed less than a year ago. The company has raised billions of dollars over the last few years, both for Starship and its satellite internet project, Starlink. Now the valuation of the company has touched the milestone of $100 billion. The company has successfully won a contract from NASA that has a value of about $2.9 billion. In this contract, NASA will use the Starship to carry the astronauts to the Moon in the year 2025 under the agency's Artemis program. The big goal that Elon Musk announced. Elon Musk announced that one of the company's major goals is to launch the Starship 3 times a day. According to him, the booster is no doubt a gigantic thing, but still it can come back within 6 minutes of time. He further thinks that the ship can even complete a minimum of 1 orbit around the Earth, and sometimes it will be able to complete up to 3 orbits or even beyond this. Here, it is worth noting that every orbit is 90 minutes. So, the ships will be reused after every 8 or 6 hours. However, in concept, the booster is able to be used again after each hour. The company still has to launch its first rocket into orbit, but if the company has its way, the Starship could truly become the first fully reusable transport system that turns us into multi-planetary species. That's it for this video. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe. Also, have you ever wondered how the world will look like in 2050? If this sounds interesting to you, click the video on your screen and I will see you there.